Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking every single book off my bookshelf and we're going to completely rearrange them. I actually don't hate the way my shelves look, they're just getting a bit messy because I just keep kind of shoving books on in random places and not really thinking about where I'm putting them. So we're going to do a rearrange today, but we are going to take all the books off and completely start from scratch. I've not 100% decided what I'm doing yet in terms of unread books. So in front of me here I do have a TBR cart. I've done a whole video on all the books on my physical TBR, but the TBR cart is full and there's still like 30 books on my shelves that I haven't read. So I think I'm going to start by separating them, putting all the books I have read on my shelves, and then we'll just see what it looks like, because I don't want it to look gappy and weird, but I don't really want my unread books with my read books because then I forget that I haven't read them. Does that make sense? We're also working with quite a small space. This is not a very big room. This is my hamster enclosure that you can see next to me. Dressing table here and then bookshelves on the back wall. So we're not working with a massive space. So I'm going to try and get the best kind of camera angles and stuff that I can. But sorry if any parts of this are a bit like, not 100%, you know, the best angles in the world. I'm doing the best with what I've got. One more thing. I have a live stream, you can't quite see my iPad, of my rabbits. My rabbits are newly bonded. If you have ever bonded rabbits, you know what I mean. So I have to watch my rabbits all the time. So I have a live stream of my rabbits. So if you keep seeing me like looking over at an iPad, I'm looking at my rabbits to make sure that they're okay. So I think that is all. Without further ado, I'm going to go and show you what the shelves look like now. And then we're going to get all the books off, give the shelves a good dust and a good clean, and then separate all the books out and start putting them back on. So this is kind of as far out as I can get again because this is quite a small room. I can't really step any further back. But basically this big shelf here is fantasy, and then on the bottom there are all the books I'm halfway through, so we need to do something with them as well. And then non-fiction, and then a few random books that I just didn't really know where to put. The middle shelves are either series or just like favourite authors. So we've got the Shatter series at the top, Hunger Games, Casey McQuiston books because I'm obsessed with Red, White and Royal Blue. We've got Off Campus and Addicted Callaway. I've not got all Addicted Callaway yet. And then we've got Mariana Zapata and then random books at the bottom. And then up here, it's just a bit of a mess over here. We've got Dystopia on the top two shelves, and then we've got an Alice Oseman shelf, and then all my romances on the bottom three. So there are definitely things I want to move about. There's books I'm going to take off my shelves. I am eventually going to get 2 more of these skinny ones to go at the other side of this room. So there will be books that I'm taking off my shelves today. It doesn't mean I'm getting rid of them. Like these ones at the bottom here, for example. I just don't really need these on display. But I don't want to get rid of them because they are books that are special to me. I just don't need them on display like right now until I get my new shelves. So we are going to take some off. Obviously we need to make some space on here because I've got a very packed full TBR cart, and obviously every time I read one of those books they need to fit somewhere on these shelves, and they're not completely full. Like the fantasy bit, there's quite a lot of room, but especially on the romance bit I am starting to struggle for space on a lot of these shelves. I am now gonna take every book off. I'm gonna try and somewhat organise them into piles, kind of, as I'm taking them off, just so it's not as overwhelming when I put them back on. But I'll talk you through all of that when I've done it. I'm just going to set up a time lapse now. And then, oh, there's also books on the floor that need to go on the shelves as well. But yeah, I'm going to set up a time lapse, get all the books off, and then we'll start, once I've cleaned the shelves, we'll start organising and getting them back on. Right, the fantasy bookshelf is empty. I think we're gonna have to, I've clipped my hair back, so please excuse what I look like. I think we're gonna have to go shelf by shelf because there's just not room on the floor to empty these at the same time. So I think we're gonna do the fantasy shelf because I've already got all these books on the floor and that is like almost the whole floor space of the room. So I think we'll do this and then we'll go like, probably do all of these at the same time because these are all a bit mixed up. This is just a fantasy shelf anyway. So I don't really know how to do this. I'm thinking maybe start with some hardbacks on the top, and then maybe on this shelf some books that I want to display, and then just like keep working my way down. I'm not 100% sure. We're just kind of going to wing it, to be honest. Let me tilt the camera up so you can see the top. So I'm just gonna, yeah, start with the top and then work my way down. The fantasy shelf is done. I'll show you them all together at the end because I'll probably change my mind on stuff between now and then anyway. So I'm now just going to empty off the dystopia and all of the romance. These shelves are now pretty much empty. The bottom ones aren't because stupidly I didn't do them first and now they're blocked in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort all the dystopias first. Literally look at the state of this room. I'm going to sort all the dystopias first and do the top 2 shelves. And then we'll have a bit more room to actually organise all of these romance books. There are quite a lot of these though that I haven't read. I'll explain when I do the tour, but parts of the shelves are going to look empty because I've read like the first book in a series, then not the rest of them, but whatever. We're just going to arrange all the books I've read, and then if I need to go back in and fill gaps with, you know, remaining series and whatever, we can do that after. These are looking a bit bare because, again, quite a few of them I hadn't read, but we'll do a tour at the end, as I keep saying. So, what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to get as many of my romance series first as I can and try and get them situated, or at least just grouped. Then I'm going to get authors who I have multiple books from, and then we're going to go for whatever's left and try and arrange them in a way that looks somewhat nice. I am going to change up some of the books that were in the middle shelves. Like, for example, I want to do a Magnolia Park shelf. So some of them are going to move around, but I'm just going to have a play around, see what I actually like where. And then we'll get all the books off the bottom shelves as well once I've moved all the other ones out of the way. I've done it. Am I obsessed with them? No. But we just need to see the potential because I've taken so many books off that I haven't read to keep them separate that the shelves to me do look a bit empty. And I'm not obsessed, but like I'm just trying to remind myself there's a vision here. Like I just need to see the vision of what they're going to look like once all the books are back on, like once I've read them. Because if you think about it, if I can read even 5 books a month from my physical TBR, that's 5 books a month that we're like getting back on the shelves and filling in gaps. And that I can probably read more than 5. So it's fine. Just for context, we've got piles of books down here that I've not read. This pile of books. All these books were on the bottom shelves. They're going to go in storage till I get my new shelves because they just don't really fit anywhere here. We've got books here. We've got my entire TBR cart, which is stacked on all 3 layers front and back, so that is also very full. So I do have books to fill the gaps. I have decided I'm going to keep all of my unread books, for the most part, except a couple of exceptions, off the shelf. Right, so we'll start over on the fantasy side. So at the top here, we've just got a few of my hardbacks. So these are my special editions of Once Upon a Broken Heart. Have I read it? No. Have I read Caraval? No. Do I have 4 copies of it anyway? Absolutely I do. So we've got those there. And then we've got A Curse of True Love. Nowhere can I find a copy of The Ballad of Never After in hardback to match these. So we're still on that. The reason these are on here even though I haven't read them is because A, they look gorgeous. I bought these to display rather than like to read these copies. I think I'm going to get another standard hardback of this, because here basically what I want to do the trilogy here with like the nice matching spines. But for now we need to get another one of these, and I need to get the second one. And then at the end I've just got Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I can't really foresee myself carrying on with the series, to be honest, after everything about Rebecca Yarros came out. So I've not got rid of these, but I've just kind of shoved them up there. That's why I've not really left room for the rest of that series. I don't really see myself necessarily reading them, so I've just left a bit of space there for my hardbacks for the rest of this series. Next shelf we've got Sarah J Maas. Again, it's empty because the only series I have in its entirety in physical form is the Crescent City series, and I'm obsessed with these. I think this is like my favourite part of the shelf, just these 3 books. They're so beautiful. I have read the whole ACOTAR series, and I'm about halfway through the Throne of Glass series. I just don't have physical copies of them. It's just, I'm on a bit of a book buying ban. I'm trying to be a bit more careful with money, so it's just not a priority for me right now because my library have all of them. I'm reading Throne of Glass through my library, and then at some point, probably for my birthday later on in the year, I'll probably ask for the box sets of both of these series, or see if I can find them second hand, because all these 3 are second hand. So see if I can find those, and then we can fill out this shelf. Next shelf again is fantasy. This is small fantasy series or books where it's part of a series and I've only got one, or standalones. So starting over here we've got Girls of Paper and Fire. This is my current read, but I'm listening to it on audio on Spotify, so I'll just pop the physical one back on there. Daughter of Smoke and Bone. This is a trilogy. I've only read the first one and didn't really like it. I've kept the other 2 for now to see if I get in the mood to read them. We've got City of Bones, just a random copy I found in a charity shop. If you watch my unhaul, I got rid of my like more modern copies of these. We've got the Broken Earth trilogy. This is really complicated. It's not one of my favourites, but I feel like I put myself through so much reading it that I just need to have it on my shelf as some kind of trophy. Similar with the Priory of the Orange Tree. I only gave that like 3 stars, but I need everyone to know I've read it, so it's staying. We've got the Cruel Prince trilogy and The Stolen Heir under there. I absolutely love this series. Didn't like this at all, but I really love these 3. Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This is a really, really lovely book. I loved it. As I said, Priory of the Orange Tree. Night Circus, one of my favourite fantasies ever. I only read it in January of this year, but I'm obsessed. Kingdom of the Wicked I didn't like, but it doesn't make me angry to look at, so I've kept it for now. I probably won't carry on with the series, but I'm not committing to saying I never will yet, so I'm going to keep hold of it. And then we've got a random Shadowhunters book, the Shadowhunters Codex, that again I'm going to keep. I've only read the first 2 Shadowhunters books as of now and didn't love them, but I am going to carry on with them in the future just to get to the newer Cassandra Clare books that I think are a lot better. So I'm just kind of keeping hold of this and this, and then at some point I'll probably get physical copies of Cassandra Clare's books. Down to the next shelf again, we're still on fantasy. Over here we've got sci-fi. I only have one sci-fi series, so it's just kind of here, and it's the Skyward series. I finished it last month and I'm obsessed with it. It's amazing. A random mug just to fill the gap. 2 Lord of the Rings books. I've read The Hobbit and the first Lord of the Rings, but I haven't read the others, so they're elsewhere. And then we've got all my Leigh Bardugo books. So again, we've got an exception here. I haven't read Rule of Wolves and King of Scars. I don't even know if they're the right way around. Don't know which one comes first. But realistically, I'm not going to read them anytime soon, so I've just popped them with all my other Leigh Bardugo books for now. Because yeah, they're just not a high priority. I'm not going to read them anytime soon, so I thought I might as well just put all of them together on the shelves. Here we've got my Harry Potter shelf. I'm not going to dwell on this. Just want to say I bought everything on here years and years before we knew that JK, or at least before I knew that JK Rowling was a transphobe. So yeah, I'm not going to promote this. I'm not going to, you know, say where anything is from. Most of it I bought secondhand anyway. But yeah, anything on here I bought many years ago. And then the bottom shelf, anything from Strange the Dreamer that way are all books I'm in the middle of and I've kind of soft DNF'd. And then from My Dark Vanessa this way, these are all romance or romance adjacent, kind of. They're not all fully romance, but we'll call them romance books that I haven't read yet. As I said, my TBR cart is full. Eventually, this will just become another shelf. So the idea is once I've read all of these, or once I've cleared space on the TBR cart for them, these will all come off. Harry Potter shelf will move down and we'll have another fantasy shelf. So I'll have a bit more room for my Sarah J Maas books, I'll have room for any Cassandra Clare books I get, etc, etc. At the top, I just swapped these two around. I don't know why, I just felt like it. So at the top we've got Hunger Games, got The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, my original trilogy, a random like movie companion book, and then I've got my DVDs there as well, a little Funko Pop of Katniss. And then I've got my Shatter Me series. These are all just the UK paperbacks. I bought most of these from a charity shop, so that's why they look a little bit kind of battered, but I really don't mind. And then this is, I believe this is the American paperback. I do kind of prefer the writing on this. I'm not going to buy the whole series in these editions because it's very similar, it's literally just a different font. But this was on Vinted for like £2.50, so I thought we'll just get that and display it. Next we've got Magnolia Parks. Eventually I do, oh actually we could put this little, I was going to say eventually I do want to get some kind of decoration. We'll just put that little heart burner. Obviously I'm not going to burn it with it sat there. It's like a little wax burner, I don't actually burn it. I do want to get like a couple of decorations for this, maybe like a Bambi, like a deer or something like that, because I think it looks a bit plain, but I am overall happy with having a Magnolia Park shelf. I just need to decorate it a bit more. Next we've got all my Mariana Zapata books, my special edition of From Lukov with Love, and then my standard paperbacks of the rest of them. I have read more Mariana Zapata books than this, but a lot of books I'll read on Kindle and I only buy them if I really enjoy them. And I didn't love, I quite liked Wait for It to be fair, but these are the ones that I felt kind of compelled to buy physical copies of. Next we've got my Casey McQuiston shelf, or basically just my red, white and royal blue shelf with a special edition of One Last Stop. I'm obsessed with red, white and royal blue. I especially love this cover. It's from, was it Illumicrate or Fairy Loot? One of the two. It came in a set with the One Last Stop one. That's the dust jacket for it crammed on at the end. I'm obsessed with this. I love that his t-shirt says History Her. And then we've got this special edition as well, and then my normal paperback. And then bottom shelf of this middle one, we've got my Taylor Jenkins Reid books. Carrie Soto is back, isn't on here because I still haven't read it. I'm still putting it off because I don't want to be left with no Taylor Jenkins Reid books until she comes out with something new. But these are my Taylor Jenkins Reid books that I have read. Moving on to the final shelf. So these top two are dystopias and then a random dark academia at the end. I'm not, to be honest, obsessed with this. I find it really hard to know how to organise these. I've basically gone for YA mainly at the top, and then Divergent, and then more adult dystopias there. But I'm never obsessed with how these look because they're just not very aesthetic books, and I'm not too much of an aesthetic book person. I like my shelf to look nice and organised in a specific way. But like, for example, this is one of my favourite books that I own, and it's a ratty old copy of 1984. I love the books individually, but I just find it quite difficult to get them all to look nice together. This will look a lot better. Basically, it used to be a little stack of Dark Academias, but this is the only one I've read. So it's just kind of laid there on its own. But when I've read my other Dark Academias, that will go back in a stack, so that will look a bit better. But yeah, I'm not a massive fan of how these look as a whole, but what I am obsessed with is my special editions of Divergent. I literally love these so much. They've got the most gorgeous covers. I would like eventually, when I've got a bit more space, most of these I will move over to the other bookshelves once I've got them. And I would love to display all of the Divergent covers, like all of these special ones, kind of in a row like I've done with these ones over here. I would love to do that eventually, but for now we've just got the first one facing forwards. Next we've got my Alice Oseman shelf, predominantly a Heartstopper shelf, but we've got my other Alice Oseman books here. There is one that I haven't finished yet. What's it called? I Was Born for This, the orange one. I'm in the middle of that, so that's not on here yet. But we've got general Alice Oseman books, Heartstopper paperbacks, standard editions. We've got two special editions of the volume 1 paperback. I decided I don't need to collect like all of them, but it is nice to have the odd special edition. So this is the movie tie-in cover. Again, I probably won't get the movie tie-ins for all of them, but I thought it was quite nice to have the first one because it does have Kit Connor and Joe on there, so I thought that was cute. And then we've just got a sprayed edge. I believe this was a Waterstones. Yeah, Waterstones exclusive with like the shiny spine and the sprayed edges. These are the Fairy Loot ones, which are so difficult to come by. I spent way too much money on these. They don't sell for that expensive now, but at the time when they came out they were really hyped. So I am obsessed with them, and I do want to get the last 2 when I can get my hands off them of these. But yeah, they are gorgeous. They've got sprayed edges, they're hardbacks as well, and they've got the, what's it called, like a shiny spine. I'm sure there's a more official word for it than that. Bit rogue. These 2 are French editions. French hardbacks. Don't really know why I got these. I can't speak French, I can't read French, but I do quite like them and I think they're quite cute. And they were like £20 each, which isn't the cheapest, but it was at the time where I was trying really hard to get these and I was getting irritated, so I just bought some French ones and then managed to get these 3 anyway. But I do think they are very cute, so I'm going to keep hold of them. We've got the hardback of Nick and Charlie. This was released a few months ago, or like a year ago in America, so I ordered it over from there because I love the Nick and Charlie novella and I'm just so obsessed with this cover. And then at the end we've got a couple of colouring books and the Heartstopper yearbook. Now moving on to the rest of my romance books. Here we've got the first 3 books of the Addicted series. These are the only 3 I've read so far. I've left a little gap, and then I've left gap on the shelf to like push all these over, and the rest of the Addicted series that I own will go there once I've read them. You've got Dreamland Billionaires. Again, I will probably need to move these to make space for the Addicted series, but that's fine. I'll move them down onto the next shelf when I need to. But for now, I think they look quite cute there. This, again, is one of my favourite parts of my shelves. I love these pastel colours. So we've got the Chestnut Spring series and the Off Campus series. And yeah, I just love them. I understand, before anyone mentions it, if you notice, yes, my Off Campus books are out of order. It's because they're not all the same edition. So I've put the 2 taller ones at the bottom and then the other 3 on top. And then the Legacy, a tiny version of the Legacy standard on the top. Moving down again, we've got another romance shelf. So here I've got the first 2 books in the Knock 'Em Out trilogy. I think I'm going to read the last one. I'm going to aim to read it in like March or April. So again, I've left a little gap where I can shove these over and pop the 3rd one in there when I need to. Here we've got my Hannah Grace and my Elena Armas books. No real reason that they're together. I've just kind of stacked them on top of each other. I think Icebreaker will end up being a reasonably big series, so again, in years to come when they all come out, we'll have to make a bit more room, but for now, they're fine as they are. I've got my Ellie Hazelwood books, the ones that I've read. I do own all of her books that she's released so far, I just haven't read them all yet, so again, we will clear space for those when I have read them. Then we've got my Christina Lauren books, the ones that I have read and own. I've read a few more than this. The only one I've really loved from a Christina Lauren, to be honest, is The Unhoneymooners. I'm just kind of keeping the others for now, but I'll probably end up donating them at some point. And then over here we've got Punk 57, one of my favourite books ever. We've got Ivy, again, one of my favourite books ever, and I think it's so underrated. If you don't like Devney Perry's books because they're all about white people in Montana, because they are, please try this one. It's so different from anything else that she's written and it's amazing. And then at the end there we've got Book Lovers. I haven't read Happy Place yet. I do own it, but I haven't read it. Again, I'm going to try and get to that one in the next couple of months. And I have read, I think all of Emily Henry's books now. At least the popular ones. I've read Beach Reading People We Meet on Vacation. I just don't own physical copies of those yet. So we've just got Book Lovers on its own. And then last shelf, this one is really empty and weird looking. I will probably shove these up this way. Ignore the hamster food in the corner there. We've got my special edition of The Hating Game, my normal edition of The Hating Game, and then just random romances that either they are part of a series or a duology, but I only own the first one, or just standalones. These aren't on the bottom because I don't like them. There are some of my favourite books here. I actually unironically love The Hating Game. I love Archer's Voice. I love quite a few of these books, like Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda, Normal People. Really enjoyed them. They've just kind of ended up down here at the bottom because I didn't know where else to put them. But yeah, I will shuffle these up this way in a bit. Here's my bookshelf tour and my rearrangement of my bookshelves. Again, I will do an updated one in a few months when I've read more of my physical TBR and we've kind of got them back on the shelves. But for now, a little overview. This is what they are looking like. So we've got the fantasy ones going down here, and then the Rogue unread books. Please ignore all the rubbish on my dressing table. The Rogue unread books at the bottom. And then we've got some of my favourite books, series, authors in the middle shelf. And then moving over here, we've got Dystopia, all my Alice Oseman books, and then my romance books. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do give it a thumbs up down below if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!